Welcome back to Mac Talks of Football, and this is the review video for my predictions that I made on for the game week 5 of Bundesliga. It was quite a fun weekend. A couple of last gasp winners in the 90th in the stoppage time, a couple of equalizers in the stoppage time, a lot of red cards, a lot of great performance, high scoring games as well, and of course that big game between Leverkusen and Bayern was played as well. So let's get ahead and we'll see how many of my predictions were right and how many of them I got wrong. 3 points if my entire prediction is right, and 2 points if the prediction is right but the score is not correct. So let's go ahead and start. The first game was Dortmund versus Bochum, and I went for a 4-0 Dortmund win. I just thought that they would come out with a response after last week's thrashing by Stuttgart 5-1 that they got defeated, and the fact that they were at home, the fans would expect some sort of a response from their team, and I thought it was going to be quite an easy, comfortable win for Dortmund because Bochum have been really bad. Like they were still winless before the game. They had lost 3 games. They just drew against Hoffenheim last week, and that was their first point of the season. And I thought it was going to be quite a comfortable win for Dortmund, but it was anything but that. It was like it was Bochum who came out of the block with the intent, and they were the ones dictating the play early on, and they go ahead and they take the surprise lead inside 10 minutes. And like Dortmund was shocked. The players were looking at each other, and they didn't know what has happened. The crowd went silent. It is very hard to silent a Dortmund's crowd, but Bochum were able to do that for a couple of minutes, and it got bad to worse for Dortmund as Bochum went ahead and they doubled the lead, and that was all Dortmund's on doing. A terrible back pass, no chance for the goalkeeper to clear it, and his clearance led straight to a Bochum player, and they easily converted it, put it into the empty net, and it became a 2-0. And at that moment in time, you're wondering what has happened to Dortmund. And Bochum, they had a great chance to make it a 3-0 and basically end the game, but they messed it up a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and the striker just shoots wide, and I think that was the moment that basically changed the game, because if Bochum scored that, it becomes a 3-0 and it becomes very hard for Dortmund to come back. But Bochum are not able to take that opportunity, and then Dortmund start to get back into the game. They get 1 goal back just before halftime, courtesy of Agavese, and they go into the half 2-1. And after this, after they come back from the break, it was all Dortmund. Like, they were really on it. They were on top of Bochum. They created multiple chances and they converted most of them. Agavese gets a penalty, and Emre Can goes ahead and scores it. Then Agavese is on the scoring sheet again. Like, he was involved in 3 goals out of the 4 that Dortmund scored. So like, he had a really good night, and Dortmund, as I said, go ahead and score the 4th goal in the 75th minute to basically seal the game. And I think in the end it was a fair result, and I think Dortmund deserved to win that game. After, if you look at the full context of the game, I think it was a fair result, and it was a big win for Dortmund. They have now basically dropped 5 points already, so it was important for them to win, as they to stay close to the pack at the top, because they don't want to get far behind from them early on, and they will be really glad that they won the game. Bochum, on the other hand, it's another defeat for them, 4th one in the season, and it's not looking really good for them. They've dropped down to 17th now, and they are still winless as well. So it has not been a good season, good start to the season. Like, we expected that they are going to have a tough season, but I don't think they expected it to be this bad early on. So it is not looking good for them at the moment, but they would hope that they can kickstart their season and get out of this trouble. But at the moment, as I said, they are 17 and they are really struggling. The next game was Mainz versus Heidenheim, and it ended 2-0 in favor of Heidenheim. But I went for a two-all draw because both these teams have not really had, have not been really consistent with their performances. Heidenheim started the season with two wins, but after that they had lost two consecutive games, and Mainz, as they have been really consistent, win, draw, lose. So like you don't really know which Mainz side is gonna turn up. So like I was not really sure which side to go on, so I just stayed on the fence, and I thought it would end up in a draw, but it was nothing like that. Like Mainz were completely played out of the park by Heidenheim. They completely dominated them, especially in that first half. Like they were really good, and they got the reward as well. They got that lead early on, and then it got back to worse for Mainz when their captain Olsen, he gets a second yellow card and gets a sent off, so they can get down to a 10 men, and it sort of became easy for Heidenheim to control the game, and they created a lot of chances, but they would be really disappointed that they were not able to convert those chances, and it kept Mainz in the game, and they got a big lifeline when Heidenheim themselves were reduced to 10 men as Deutsch got his marching orders, and you would have thought that Mainz being the home side, and seeing this they would have tried to get that equalizer, but they were never really in that game, to be very honest with you, and it was Heidenheim again who got ahead, and they got the second goal and basically put the game to rest. And I think in the end it was a fair result. They were the team that really dominated before the both the red cards. Like every major incident if you could take out, and you would see that Heidenheim were in control before or after every of that incident. So I think it was a fair result, and it was a good performance for them, and I think it was a big win, an important win, and they needed that win after those two losses. This win pushes them to sixth, back into that those European places, and I think they would want to be a stay in those places and keep winning these games. Mainz, on the other hand, it is now becoming a sort of a problem for them. Another defeat in this season. They dropped down to 11th, but the thing is they are just 4 points above the relegation zone, so it's like one win from a team underneath them, and they could be right down in those 16th 17th position. So it's not a good place to be. Their performances are not really good, and they really need to do something if they don't want to end up in a relegation battle. Moving on to the next game, it was Wolfsburg versus Stuttgart. I went with a 3-1 win for Stuttgart, but the game ended being a 2-all draw. The thing was, Stuttgart were in a red hot form coming into this game. They were looking really good. They won their last two games, including that 5-1 thrashing of Dortmund last weekend. Wolfsburg, on the other hand, they had lost their last two games, and they had lost three of the four first games in the Bundesliga. So they were really not in a good position coming to the game, and basically the game sort of went the way that I expected. Stuttgart completely dominated the game, and they controlled the game as well. They created a lot of chances, but the thing is, it was Wolfsburg who got the first goal and got the lead against the run of play. It was a surprising lead for Wolfsburg, but it did not last really that long, and Stuttgart came back and they got the equalizer just like 10-12 minutes later. And the pattern of the game continued. It was basically Stuttgart being relentless, trying to get that trying to get the goal, trying to take the lead, and Wolfsburg basically defending and trying to hit them on the counter. We went to the second half, and it was basically the same until the 63rd minute when Stuttgart were reduced to 10 men, and that sort of changed the dynamics of the game, and Wolfsburg, like, they took advantage of having an extra man quite quickly. 5 minutes after Stuttgart were reduced to 10 men, they go ahead and they take the lead. And the thing is that basically, in my opinion, affected Wolfsburg, but after they got the lead, they basically stopped. They really did not try to go ahead and try to create more chances and extend that lead. Instead, the manager decided that he wants to sit back, and he decided to defend that lead. And I think that was a really bad decision in a way. Not just bad, like stupid decision. Why are you doing that? You are on the lead. You have a man advantage. Just go ahead and try to extend your lead. Stuttgart already are chasing the game, so they would want to come ahead and and to equalize the goal, so they are going to leave the spaces behind for you, and it would have been a great opportunity for Wolfsburg to get that win, but he went the other way, and he let Stuttgart come back into the game, and they were relentless after that. They kept on creating and creating. They kept pushing Wolfsburg deeper and deeper into their own half. It never really looked like that Stuttgart were the team down to 10 men. It felt like Wolfsburg were the team who are down to 10 men and are defending for their life, and if as it kept on happening, I figured that they were gonna concede, and they conceded in the last moments, last second of the game. Dennis on the back corner, the ball comes to him, and he's boxed it into the net to get a point out for Stuttgart, which I think was a fair result, because they were the team that was really trying to get something out of that game, and I think they really deserve to get a point. And Wolfsburg, on the other hand, I think they would be really disappointed that they did not get all the 3 points, but in a way I think it was their tactics that let them down, and I think it was a good opportunity to get those points, but they were not really able to get any point out of it, and they are now really, to be very honest, struggling at the moment. They have dropped down to 15th, just a place above 16th place of Hoffenheim, and at 3 points above the relegation teams at the moment, so it's not looking really good for them. Stuttgart themselves would be disappointed that they did not get the points, the 3 points that they should have, especially considering their opponents. They have now themselves dropped down to 8th out of those European places, and they would hope they can get back into these European places as much as possible. I personally, I have not mentioned the score in the first 2 games, but I think I am just now on 2 points. And I got the 2 points basis on the first game. The next 2 games, my predictions have been way off, so at the moment I think I am 2 out of 9, so it's not looking really good for me, but we'll see how it goes into the next games. The next game was a Freiburg versus a St. Pauli, and I went for a 4-0 comfortable win for Freiburg, who came into the game with a red hot form. They were looking really good, and on the other hand you had a St. Pauli who were like dreadful, who had just 1 point. They had lost 3 of the 4 games or in the Bundesliga till now, and I thought it was going to be quite a comfortable win for Freiburg. They were at home as well, but it was nothing like that. This prediction was way off. St. Pauli ended up winning that game at 3-0, and I mean nobody really saw that coming. St. Pauli produced one of the biggest upsets of Bundesliga in a recent memory, and like one of the best away day in St. Pauli's history, if I'm being very honest with you. And I mean, the thing is, it was sort of the way that the game was sort of it went the way that I expected it to be, as like Freiburg had majority of the possession. They controlled the ball, they dominated the game, but they never really made anything out of that possession. The chances that they created were not really that good. In contrast, St. Pauli were really good with their chances that they hit Freiburg on the counter attack, and whenever they got the chance, whenever they hit, they were like accurate, they were consistent, they were clinical with their finishing and with their chances, and they kept on scoring those goals, and I think it was a great performance by the St. Pauli front line, that they made sure that whenever they got the chance, they finish it. Freiburg, you could say they would consider themselves unlucky. They got a penalty, but they missed that penalty, and then they scored a couple of goals, but both of them were ruled out for offside. I think if either one of those goals stays onside and it is allowed, I think the game could have been, the result could have been different. The game could have gone into a different fashion, but all of this is now ifs and buts. But on a whole, I think Freiburg were a bit lucky, but I think St. Pauli were really good, and I think it was a very important win for them. It pushes them out of the relegation zone to directly into the 14th position, so they would be very happy. They drew last week, so they have now sort of got a bit of momentum after their first 2 defeats. They have slowly coming back after the first 3 defeats. Sorry, they drew last week and now they have won, so it's they are gaining a bit of momentum. Freiburg, on the other hand, they would be really disappointed. They themselves, like, they drop out of the European places. They are now 7th in the league, so, and I think nobody expected this league, so a big disappointing day for Freiburg. The next game was RB Leipzig versus Augsburg, and I went for a 2-1 win for RB Leipzig. It ended up being quite a comfortable win for Leipzig. In the end, they won a 4-0. My thinking was like RB Leipzig, they came into like they were in a really good form. The start of the season was really good, but they came into this game after two consecutive draws. So I thought that I was a bit cautious with my approach, with my prediction. But as we saw, I really did not have to be that cautious, because they completely destroyed Augsburg on that day. They were on completely a different level. Like they were so good. They got an early lead courtesy of Benjamin Šeško, his first goal in the Bundesliga. And the thing is, he has not scored for the first 4 games, and then he scores the first goal, and then 10 minutes later he scores his second goal of the game and of Bundesliga. They doubled their leads midway through the second half, and they were really dominating that game. Augsburg, they had a chance, they got a lifeline, they get a penalty, and if they scored that penalty at that moment, you would have said that maybe there's a chance of them making a comeback, but they missed that penalty. And we go into the second half with Leipzig leading 2-0 comfortably. We come out of the second half, and they make sure the game is done and dusted within the first half, or within the first minute of the second half. They scored that third goal, and it was quite easy in the end for them, and they basically ended the game with a great goal by Xavi Simons. What a goal that was! A great volley to make it a 4-0 for Leipzig, and that was it. That great performance, amazing win, and that win pushes them up to 3rd points, just 2 points up behind Bayern Munich, and they remain undefeated. One of the only 2 teams to still be undefeated in Bundesliga, along with Bayern Munich. Augsburg, on the other hand, is like quite a bad performance. They were really bad in that game, and it's now becoming a concerning thing for the Augsburg manager and the team's second defeat in a row drops them down to 15th, just a point above Hoffenheim. So it's not a 16 plus Hoffenheim, so it's not looking really good. One bad result next week, and next week I might be sitting here and talking about them being in a relegation zone. So it's not looking really good. Like I did not expect them to have such a bad start to the season. I thought they were gonna have a bit of trouble, but being this back, I really did not expect. So they would hope that they can get out of this mess as quickly as possible and not get dragged into a relegation battle. The next game was Borussia Mönchengladbach versus Union Berlin. I went for a 2-1 win for Gladbach, and they won the game 1-0. So I get 2 points in this game. I think I got 2 points in the previous game as well. So if my calculations are correct, I think I'm on 6 points at the moment. In terms of the game, like I thought it was going to be a very close game. Both these teams, I think, like in my opinion, Gladbach were the performances that they gave and the position they were on, it did not reflect the true story, and I thought they were really unlucky to be in that position. And I said in my prediction video as well that I'm predicting a Gladbach win because of my personal feeling. I really have a soft spot for that club, and that is why I went for their weekend. I'm glad that I went for that because they won the game, but it was quite a close game. I expected that it was a tight game. It was in a way quite a boring game as well, if I'm being very honest with you. Very few chances are created. Both the goalkeepers, like, they were barely attested, and I think it was a really bad it was a bad game of football. I'll be very honest with you. Like, I wouldn't recommend anybody to watch go ahead and watch that game of football. UB close came very close, to get the goal. They hit the post in the 85th minute, and that did not go in, and at that point you would have assumed that this game was gonna end in a draw, but Gladbach somehow, someway, they get the winner in the 95th minute of the game, and that resulted in them getting the 3 points. It was very important for them to get the win after losing those 2 games last losing 2 consecutive games. This was their first win at home as well after 200 days. It was a big moment for them. It helps them get back to the 11th position. and they would be happy that they are now up, and not gone down, as because the last 2 weeks they have just been sliding down the table. UB on the other side, they would be really disappointed. They suffered their first defeat of the season and have now pushed down to the ninth position in the table. As I said, quite a close game. Anybody could have won it. So I don't like it was a bad game of football. That's the only thing, and Gladbach were really lucky to get that win. The next game was the big one. It was Bayern Munich versus Bayer Leverkusen, and I went for a 2-all draw. It ended being a 1-all draw, so another 2 points for me. It has been a good run for me at the moment. I like that. In terms of the game, I expected a tough game, a very close game. I expected goals in that game. I expected a high tempo game with both teams really going at it, but I was, in a way, completely wrong, because it ended being a one-sided game, as Bayern completely dominated that game. Like, they were relentless in their pursuit of that win, and they made chances after chances, and they came close so many times. But the thing is, surprisingly, it was Leverkusen who took a surprise lead, and that in a way for a couple of minutes shocked the Bayern Munich fans and the supporters. But it was because it was one-way traffic up until that point. Leverkusen, they were never really in that game. They were just holding on. I think the thing is, you really need to commend Leverkusen's defensive performance in this game, because they had to endure a lot of chances. They had to be vigilant for full 90 minutes. They were on their own toes completely, because Bayern kept coming and coming and coming, attack after attack after attack, and they conceded a goal. But that goal was spectacular. I think this game was that 5-minute periods of 2 amazing goals, and apart from that, it was just a Bayern attacking Leverkusen's goal, and Leverkusen basically holding on for their life. I would say great defensive performance. They can get criticized that they really did not try against a Bayern, but I really don't think that matters, to be very honest with you. They know it's early stages in the season. They went away to their biggest rivals for the title, and they did not lose at that game. So I think it would be, in a way, it was a great performance by Leverkusen to not lose that game and get a point out of there. And I think it was a very smart of them. Bayern Munich, they would be really disappointed that they did not win the game because of how good they were and the performance that they kept out. They created so many chances. They had so much of the ball, but they would really frustrated by Leverkusen's defense. They still remain top. They are still undefeated, along with RB Leipzig. Just 2 teams remaining in the Bundesliga who are still undefeated. And they now have a game against Frankfurt. And I think that is going to be another tough game for them. So it will be interesting what they do next weekend. Leipzig, on the other hand, they have now dropped down to 4th position, but they are still in touching distance of their rival. So I think they would be pleased with the result as well. The next game was Holstein Kiel versus Frankfurt, and I went for a comfortable 2-0 win for Frankfurt, but they ended up winning 4-2. I get another 2 points to my tally, and this game ended up being quite more entertaining than I expected. Holstein Kiel really fought bravely, and they made this game quite interesting, but in the end they were never really a match for Frankfurt. And Mamouche, I mean, what a season that guy is having. He has been really good. He is now at the top of the top goal scorers in the league at the moment, if I am not wrong. Amazing performance from him. I think he already has 5 or 6 goals in the league, if I am not wrong, and he is now one of the biggest reasons that Frankfurt are second. 4 wins in a row. They are in amazing form, and I think they should be really happy at the moment. And their next week's game against Bayern Munich, it's going to be really good. It's first versus second. Frankfurt at home, they're just 1 point behind. 1 point behind Bayern Munich, so they would really fancy themselves to get that win and become the first team that defeats Bayern Munich this season. So I think that game is going to be really good, and Mamouche is going to be a very important for their next week's games. Holstein Kiel, on the other hand, as I said, they fought really bravely in that game, but unfortunately they were never really able to caused that much trouble to Frankfurt, and they lose another game, their fourth of the season. They got their first point last weekend with their draw against Bochum, but now they are back to their losing ways. They are still at 17 in that relegation places, and it's really not looking really good for them, and they need to do something to get a win. They are one of the two winless teams along with Bochum. They are the only two teams remaining who have not won the game, and they need to do something to get that win. I keep on saying that the first where the first win is the important one. After that, they can try to climb out of their relegation zone and try to make sure that they don't get relegated and don't go back straight away into the Bundesliga too. And the last game of match day 5 was Hoffenheim versus Werder Bremen, and I went for a 1-all draw, but that game was really a mad. It was a chaotic, it was entertaining, it had everything that you would want from a game of football. Like, I went for a 1-all draw because both these teams came into this game low on confidence. They were not really doing really great, so I thought it was going to be and I thought both of them were not really going to take chances. Bremen got thrashed 5-0 last weekend. Hoffenheim, they had lost 3 in a row. So as I said, both teams were really low on confidence, so I thought it was going to be a low scoring game, but both managers were making sure that they don't lose the game, but it was nothing like that. Hoffenheim, they came out and they I don't know what happened before the game, but they just came out of the blocks attacking, and they get a 3-0 lead in inside at 12 minutes, and you're like, okay, this is something really special. However, Bremen are all over the place. They might suffer another humiliating defeat because they lost 5-0 last weekend as well. 12 minutes in, 3-0, and then 6 minutes later, that's when the game changes. Hoffenheim get a red card, and that basically flips the game, and now it's Bremen who are on the attacking front, and they get like basically 4 goals inside the next 25 minutes, 3 goals in the first half, and then the second in the fourth goal in the 49 minutes, and that was amazing. Like, to be very honest with you, it was quite an entertaining game. You had 6 goals and the red card just in the first half. Second half, they get a goal, and then even though it became 4-3, and even though Hoffenheim were down to 10 men, both the teams still went on. Like, the way the game was moving, quite an open game, end-to-end stuff. It was a really fun game to watch, and the fact is, sometimes these type of games come at a time when no other game is played, so you just watch it for the fun of it, and you end up seeing a great game of football, and it was quite entertaining, to be very honest with you, and quite a fun game to watch. Bremen, they would be really happy that they got the win, their second win of the season. It puts them in at 10, brings them into the top 10, and they would hope that they stay in the top 10 and try to get up in the upper half of the table and try to get into those European places. Hoffenheim, on the other hand, they would be really disappointed that they did not get anything out of the game. Like, if you're 3-0 ahead inside 12 minutes, there's like no way you would think that we are going to lose that game, but unfortunately for them, they did. It's like their 4th defeat in a row after that first win. After they win on the match day 1, they have lost 4 in a row, and it is not looking really good for them. They are down on 16 in that relegation promotion playoff place, so they really need to get a win and get out of this trouble. Otherwise, it could get really messy for them. I don't get any points out of it, and I think if my calculations are correct, maybe out of 27, I think I got 8 points. If that is the case, it is another bad week for me in the Bundesliga. I said previously when I was making the prediction video that Bundesliga has been really a thorn for me this season. I've not really performed well in Bundesliga this season till now, and it's another bad week for me. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of my review, what you guys thought of my predictions as well, and how did your team do during the weekend. Let me know in the comment section below. Are you happy with your team's performance, or are you a bit concerned how your team is doing, and are you one of the supporters of one of the teams who are in that relegation places, like the Hoffenheim and the Holstein Kiels and Bochums, all of that, or are you one of the fans of the teams who are in the upper places? Let me know in the comment section below. Like the video, share it as well, click on the notification bell, and of course subscribe to the channel. We have started the month of October with already 2 subscribers added on. We are trying to get to 400 subscribers at the end of this month. This is our target. The month has just started, there's still a lot of time, so we are hoping that we are able to achieve that target. So please go ahead and subscribe and help us achieve our target. Until next time, bye bye.